So I had some requests on how to make these sliding boxes. I did mute the sound. So the timings were all in accordance with the sound that I had playing in the music. But all of this can be created in CreateStudio. All I used were their assets, their animated text, their liquid lines and elements. Happy New Year, and thank you to everyone on team. And me saying Happy New Year. So let me just first show you. I started with the square. I got this idea from a commercial for AARP. Believe it or not, I saw it on TV. I found it was much easier to do it with a square because they're all going to be equal shapes than with the rectangle, which then I had to do too much sizing. So as you can see, I used the square. I have one set up to do with you, but how did I do this first? I just went up, I got a square, and then I just looked at sizing, made sure that they fit and covered the whole square. Oh, looks like I kind of did good there on my first one. Then I just duplicated them. It looks like it's not quite wide enough. Sorry. I'm going to just change that background to white because sometimes I get confused. This, I can still see a little bit of the line, the white in between. So I'm going to select it and I'm just going to press on my keyboard arrow left one time. It connected those and it stayed within there. So it looks like my squares are good. So that's all I did is I made 4 of those. And then what I did is I just labeled them 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can label it however you want it. Now, why did I put these black lines in here? These are actually a whole bunch of dark blue lines. The reason I did that is even though I made them all fit, once I started doing some animating, something got messed up and I got tired of trying to fix them all. So all I did was I made a rectangle. I'm going to change that color just so I can see it better. I made it as big as the canvas, and then I just made it into a little box. It's hard to grab these. You're going to really have to zoom in, or what I do is I just sometimes use my shift and arrow key, left arrow key, and you'll be able to see that little purple line as I move it, and you can see that purple vertical line. That's telling me it's centered. So I might not want it that wide. I might want to reduce it a little. Really, it was just so it would make it easier for me and I didn't have to fix things so much. Then all I did is I duplicated that, Command D, Shift, my right arrow. I went over here and I put it on that side. I'm doing it messy right now. Then I Command D for duplicated it and I twisted it. And then I copied and duplicated for the other sides of the canvas. So that's all I did. And on this one, I made them white. Let me just get those out of the way because that's what I just showed you. So if you're practicing this in CreateStudio as we do it, just pause this and get your squares set. You can make these diagonal, these lines if you want. You don't have to. I didn't do it till I was done and I realized some of mine were off by just a hair that I couldn't fix. So I set this up and what we'll do is we'll do 2 of them together. But I set her up, the teacher lady, listening to her music at the bus stop. Then you can see right here, This whole scene is a group. And all I did was first I had my placeholder, which was the square. Then I chose an image and the lady. And then I masked it. If you see this, I masked it with the square that I had made. Right? I'll show you how to do that, so don't worry about that. Then I animated it with linear, and the property was position. So I had where it was starting, and then I moved it down. But as you can see, we don't see it like we saw in my other ones. That's because we need to put it above the CreateStudio. You can go in here and add a track above. I don't know why. I always just move things up, so I make it a little harder for myself sometimes. But if I move this above number 3, I had labeled this left bottom corner 3. Now when it animates down, it's covering. And let me change the background to black again because we're not making our boxes. There we go. And you would time that to any kind of music that you had. Now what I did for the text, super easy. Here I can remove the track so it gets back up. This was just in animated tiles in your studio. And I used that in my New Year video. So where is it? No. There it is. So it's the Black Friday one. You're just going to click and bring that down. And then you're going to change the words. We'll do that in the next one. We'll just use the same text and I'll show you what I did. So here is where we'll probably, once we see this end, and it's a little long, so I probably wouldn't have used that for this first one. I had that at the end of mine. We are going to then animate the second group to move to the left. But the second group doesn't have anything in there yet. So let's go in, open the group, and I don't know, I didn't plan this out. Let's just go grab a background because that's there. You're going to be able to choose whatever you want. And then let's just go in to characters. You don't need a character, but let's just bring in a character so that we have somebody showing off the car that he got for Christmas. All right. Then I am just going to extend the animation to the end. I always go a little bit more in case I need more time in that scene. I can also disable the start or the end animation. But I'm not going to do a whole bunch of timing on this right now. I'm just going to show you how to do it. So now we have the Memoji guy in our scene. But see how it's overlapping here. And if we move this, you're going to see it's overlapping here because we need to mask what we just put in that group. So that was my second group. I'm going to open it. I'm going to select the Memoji guy and the image. I use Command G to group, but you can also go in here to group. Once they're grouped, I'm going to hold my Shift key, have the group selected, select the square, let go of the Shift, click, and mask. Now you don't see these sides. And if you go in here, now you can see There's nothing on the side here. And it's not overlapping into our first box. So now we're all set, right? I'm just gonna animate it here because I probably shouldn't have had that long animation for the text, but I know somebody had asked me about that. So now this is where the first one ended. And depending on your music, depending on your timings, you'll figure out when you want your next one to move. But all you're going to do is select what you want to move, number 2, and you can see it's outlined. I'm going to add an animation. I'm going to position, easing is linear. I'm at the first keyframe. I'm going to go to the last keyframe, and how long between it is how long it's going to take to travel to the left. So I'm going to use my Shift key and my left arrow on my keyboard. And that purple line looks like it's centered. I might need it a little bit more. There we go. That goes to the end, and this one's centered here. So let's see what that looks like. And that looks like it might be going a little faster than the first one. I can always extend it and make the duration of the transition to the left a little bit more. But you can play with those timings. But now this looks kind of boring, right? So I'm going to just mark this text 1 so I don't get too confused. Let's go up and use that same one under animated tiles. It's this one. Now I don't have to have it all the way at the beginning, right? I'm going to time it and have it appear as this is going to the left. So it might be about there depending, but we'll see once we add it all in. So it's too big, right? I need to reduce the size. Here you can see the vertical purple and the horizontal purple to see your centered. Watch. As I click it and I move it, you can see the purple line vertical, which is saying I'm in the middle of the vertical. And now right there, you can see a horizontal purple line. So now I know I'm centered in that box. But what I already know, because I had to change it, is once I change these words, Black Friday fits. But once I change it to happy creating, or sorry, let's create, I'm going to change. It starts with black. So that would be the word we change to let's. So every time it says black, I'm going to change it to let's. Right here in the left. If you are clicked on this, all of those are going to come out. So what was I trying? Oh, and this one, let's. And then you can see it changed, but now it's Let's Friday. So we're going to change Friday to create. Whoop, oh, I spelled it right. Now everything looks good, except create. Well, I guess it does fit. I must have made it a little smaller this time. I'm going to make it just a scooch smaller because I don't like how it's almost touching the line. And then I'm going to go back and make sure I have my horizontal and vertical purple lines so it's centered. Does it work? It does. Perfect. And I don't have all of these long enough, so I'd have to extend these, but I didn't plan enough in advance. You can go in and you can change the color of the text if you want. You just click when you have this highlighted and you go into text. You can change the color if you want. You can change the format if you want it to. I don't know if this font would allow us to do that. if you want capital or lowercase. It will depend on the font if you can do that. You can change the alignment, you can change the position, but again, I did that through the centering, and CreateStudio has already done all the timings for you. So here's how they have it set up. All of the blacks are going to be spinning, linear, rotation, as is let's. We can also see its rotation, linear, and it's by the sentence or word. I mean, it's only one word, so the sentence is the word. So you already have all of the timings. Everything is done for you in there. I adjusted some of the timings for mine, but you don't have to do that. And then all I did, I don't really want that red. I thought I changed it. I'm going to put that back to white. Now I want a background to it. So I love these liquid lines. So I used to use them a lot, and then I kind of forgot about them. But if you go into effects, click on that, you're going to have a whole bunch of different types. There's line elements and liquid lines. There's also motion shapes. I like the liquid line and the line elements. So the ones that I think I used this one over there. I also used a couple others in the, there's one that you can use as well. I used this one. Also, what I did is I just added that there. I also meant to open up the text box itself and then add the element. So what I did, let's use this one, is I click and drag it. And what we're going to see is it's too big right now for the box because it's kind of going out of it. So I can click on it and I can just go up here to the scale and I can make it a little bit smaller. What I did is I also kind of put it at an angle. I don't know if this element's really going to look so great with the let's create, but I'm not going to change that. I wanted to show you how I did this. Then what I also did is I just selected, I have it highlighted. I used Command D, and then I just make copies so it can keep going. Whoop. So then you'll have it all the way across. So let's see what that looks like. I mean, that doesn't look too bad, but I do like my first one better because it has a bigger splash for each one of the words. But you can choose whichever ones you want. And I might have had this first one starting towards the right, so it would have been over here. But you're just going to create that however you want. Then you're just going to do the same thing for the third one. You're going to go into, you're going to select, I'm sorry, I already did the 3. I'm going to go into number 4 right here, open the group, and then I'm just going to pick a background. I'm just going to do this really quick. I know I have this downloaded, right? Then say I want to have 2 people in there. I'm just going to go to my characters. I'm going to grab the robot. And I'm going to grab the wizard. I'm going to size them and put them wherever I want them. I'm not going to take the time to do that. You don't need me to do that. I'm going to make sure it extends beyond. I don't want to forget to go in to group them and mask them. If you don't know this trick, see how I have my red arrow, my arrow up and down? I can bring this up or down. If I need to see more of my timeline, I'm going to click, drag the first 3, the background and the 2 characters, Command G, select both of these, click, right click and mask it. Now I'm going to bring my timeline back down. Here we go. And as that goes around, again, I wouldn't use that for one that I don't want to make. I need it for a longer transition because that takes longer. But I don't have all of those here. What are we? We're on number 4. So then I'm going to click on 4. I'm going to add an animation, linear, properties, position, go to the end keyframe. I can click and drag it up. Although I tend to use my shift and arrow like that. So it makes sure I don't move it anyway. And here we go. And now you're going to add another text under here. So whatever text you choose to find, we will go back to animated tiles. And you can choose anything you want. You can even choose some of these. If you choose that you want to do awesome, but you don't want the background, let me download that. Let me click it here. You can make anything you want happen to this, right? I'm going to click on it. I'm going to open the group. I don't want that. I don't need the background. I just want the text. Go to the back to the timeline. I need to resize it because look how big it is. I'm going to resize it. I'm going to click and drag it into my box. And you can see from this outline, it's already coming up, but it's hidden behind. So I'm probably going to move that and maybe start it here. Maybe. This isn't really my kind of style for that one, but I clicked the first thing that I saw. That means you can edit any of these as well. If you decided to take another one that you liked the text, I'm trying to find one. Say you liked that text, but that one I don't think has a background. But right here, you could change, you could get rid of those emojis, you could get rid of the purple. So you can choose some of these that if you like that text, if you want that kind of, the red background, which is similar to awesome, you can go in and get rid of the background. So that's why I chose this one. But you can do whatever you want with them. So I hope that helped. This ended up being longer than I thought, but I hope that it helped.